Sunday, what was that morning like for you, Sam?
Phone just going crazy, man. It woke me up. And then I picked the phone up and then, forget who called me, man. I just hear people screaming in the background. And they like, man, bro got shot. So I just immediately just run out the house. And just jet out the door. My grandma was in the living room watching TV, so she seen me run out, didn't close the door, just got in the car. Grandma's on 5th in Slauson, so the shop is maybe like 6 blocks away. So I just ran every light, every stop sign, and I get there and, man, it's just going crazy, man. Everybody screaming, and I just see bro, and I'm just...
Footage and photos of Imani Asghedom, Nipsey Hussle's daughter, hanging with Bloods, started making their rounds, and the internet immediately formed an opinion. But the man who has been by her side since Nipsey was taken, Black Sam, Nipsey's older brother, was not panicked. He was not on social media condemning it. His reaction was measured, calm, almost knowing, and that reaction tells you more about what is actually happening here than any hot take or viral clip ever could. Before you finish forming your opinion, you need the full story, because this is not what most people are framing it as. Nipsey Hussle was not just a rapper who happened to be a father. He was a man who approached parenting with the same deliberate intentionality he applied to everything else in his life. He understood exactly what world he was raising his daughter in, and he made a decision to prepare her for it rather than shield her from it. There is an interview that does not get referenced enough when people talk about Nipsey as a father. He talked about his morning routine with Imani, walking her to school every single day and using that time as a classroom. Not in a heavy-handed way, but in a consistent, repetitive, intentional way that builds a foundation before the world gets a chance to define a person first. He would ask her questions during that walk. Simple questions, direct ones. What does integrity mean? He would have her repeat affirmations out loud. Phrases like, I am a leader. Day after day, the same foundation being laid. This is a man from Crenshaw, a man who came up in one of the most intense gang environments in Los Angeles, who is walking his daughter to school every morning and asking her to define integrity before the day even begins. He wanted her vocabulary, her internal vocabulary, to include leadership, purpose, and integrity, not as abstract concepts, but as lived realities she could reach for when things got hard. He knew things were going to get hard. He just did not know how soon. March 31st, 2019. Imani was 10 years old when her father was murdered outside his own store on Slauson Avenue. Not in a quiet, private way. In a way that became national news, that generated grief across the world, that put a spotlight on her family's pain that has never fully gone away. At an age when most kids are thinking about what to wear to school, she lost her father publicly and violently and had to process that loss while the whole world watched. What she was left with came in 2 parts. The first was material. Nipsey's estate has been managed in a way that provides for his children financially. The music catalog, the Marathon brand, the business interests, all of it continues to generate wealth. She is not wanting for anything in that sense. But money does not walk you to school. Money does not ask you what integrity means on a Tuesday morning. For that, Imani needed people. Real, present, consistent people. And that is where Black Sam's role in this story becomes the most important piece of the whole picture. Samuel Asghedom, Black Sam, is Nipsey's older brother. When Nipsey was killed, Black Sam did not just grieve. He stepped up completely. He made a commitment to Imani that went beyond what most people mean when they say uncle. He took on the role of a father figure with the same consistency and intentionality that Nipsey had brought to parenting when he was alive. In communities like Crenshaw, when a father falls, the men around him are expected to show up for the children left behind. That is a real code. But what Black Sam has done goes beyond cultural obligation. This is personal. He understood his brother's vision for this child, those morning walks, those affirmations, that foundation, and he made a decision to carry that vision forward as faithfully as he could. He attends her events. He is present for her milestones. He makes sure she is surrounded by people who actually knew her father, who understand what Nipsey was building, who are invested in seeing her become the leader Nipsey always told her she was. He has kept her connected to her father's real legacy. Not the icon the internet constructed, not the martyr, not the legend, but the actual man who had flaws and made mistakes, and also had a vision so clear it outlived him. He has also served as a buffer. Because here is the thing about being Nipsey Hussle's daughter, the weight of that name is enormous. The expectations, the projections, the way the world filters everything she does through the lens of who her father was, that is a heavy thing for a young woman to carry. Black Sam has been there to make sure she can just be a person figuring herself out without that weight crushing her ability to grow. Now here is the context that makes the Bloods conversation mean something completely different from what the internet's take suggests. Nipsey Hussle was rolling 60s Crips. He never hid it. He never apologized for it. He talked about it in his music and wore it in his identity. And simultaneously, for the last years of his life, he was actively working to broker peace between Bloods and Crips because he understood that the division between those two communities was destroying the same neighborhood he loved. He was embedded in gang culture and trying to heal gang culture at the same time. Both things were true. He raised Imani inside that reality. He did not pretend the streets did not exist. He armed her with the tools to understand them, to move through them, and to see people as more than their affiliations, because that was what he believed. Unity over division. That was the actual mission behind the marathon. So when Imani is seen moving through spaces that include Bloods, what the internet is calling a red flag is actually something closer to a reflection. She is a young woman who absorbed her father's understanding that people are more than their sets, more than their colors, more than what a block or a crew says they are. She grew up watching her father build relationships across lines that most people in that world treat as permanent. She is doing the same thing. Black Sam understands this because he lived it alongside Nipsey. He was there for the conversations, the relationships, the work. He knows that Imani moving through those spaces is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is a sign that what Nipsey planted in her is actually growing the way he intended. And that is why Black Sam's reaction was calm. That is why there was no public statement of alarm, no condemnation, no rush to distance Imani from what she was being seen doing. His reaction was the reaction of a man who trusts the foundation that was laid and trusts the young woman that foundation produced. He is not watching a situation spiral. He is watching a vision unfold. The easy version of this story is the one that generates the clicks. Nipsey's daughter in those environments, the cycle continuing, a cautionary tale about what happens when children grow up in the shadow of street culture. That is the surface read. That is the hot take. It is also not the truth. The truth is more complicated and honestly more worth paying attention to. Imani Azgedam is the product of deliberate parenting by a man who understood exactly what world he was sending her into. She has had Black Sam in her corner since the day she lost her father. Consistent, present, carrying the same vision forward in the day-to-day unglamorous way that real guidance requires. And the choices she is making, the spaces she is moving through, the relationships she is building, they look like someone who actually understood what her father was trying to build. Nipsey said the marathon continues. He meant it as a community mantra. But one of its most personal expressions is a young woman from Crenshaw who lost her father at 10, was raised by a brother who loved her like his own, and is now moving through the world her father came from with her father's heart. Black Sam reacting with calm to the internet noise is not indifference, it is confidence. The confidence of a man who has been doing the work, who knows what that work produced, and who does not need the internet's permission to know that his niece is going to be okay. Drop a comment. What do you think about how Black Sam has shown up for Imani, and do you think the internet is misreading this situation?